Shalom, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ravakakodash, double honors to all the apostles, great millstone, who do real well. Peace, love, and blessings to you, brothers on the highways and byways, giving all diligence. Make your call and election sure. Blessings to the very few sisters out there listening, learning, and believing. I'm that fellow Kanakla coming at you once again with another lesson, Lord's will, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. This is lesson satisfying and exhorting. You just Watchmen. Feel like I'm sounding like the brother from New York, GMS Watchmen, but I believe March 24th. I believe that's today's date, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yep. So this is posted today. Okay, on a so-called Monday, March 24th. As you see, it says India's crude imports from Russia surge. Now, if you know that, basically I would call it economic power structure, because basically that's what it is. You got the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South America, which other countries have joined or are looking to join. But India, is a part of that basically economic power structure. So, going into prophecy, how does this link up to Bible prophecy? Because once again, we watch these geopolitics, see how and then we're able to basically identify how this leads to Bible prophecy. So it says India's crude imports from Russia surge. Now, pursuing to U.S. sanctions, basically put sanctions on Russia for the whole Ukraine situation. All right, the war going on, the proxy war going over in Ukraine, basically America fighting against Russia. And you type this in, Europe energy crisis, which Europe is on the verge of collapse. Okay, because Russia basically supply Europe with either 50% or more, but somewhere around that number, okay, of energy, all right, gas prices. You see here, just type it in. Europe faces potential for another energy crisis as gas prices surge to 2-year highs, depleting storage rapidly, and raising concerns about winter heating and industrial production. But they was getting cheap energy from Russia. But the U.S. did that to basically put sanctions on Russia and told basically his European counterparts or allies not to buy Russian energy, Russian gas, to basically collapse Russia's economy. But who picked up that slack? Because Russia is heavily dependent on its gas, its energy or fuel exports. Okay, majority of its company depends. It's like a majority of its economy. All right, depends on its energy exports. Basically, people buying their fuel. So Europe being a big customer, they were cut off from that, as you had the whole Nord Stream 2 being destroyed too, that also led fuel to Europe. Okay, but who picked up the slack? India and China. So here it is, that that business, all right, is now being taken over by another country. And that's why Russia has not, economy is still doing good, because it just went to other customers. But who's suffering now? America's allies. All right, the beast system. It says Europe is steering on the edge of its next energy crisis with natural gas prices soaring to their highest level in 2 years. And then I'll show you this prophecy. Here it is, February the 3rd, 2025. Europe grapples with energy crisis 3 years after Ukraine invasion. Exactly. Okay, because they tried to, they wanted to collapse the Russian economy for them so-called invading Ukraine. Okay, so they put sanctions on them and basically told their EU counterparts not to buy fuel from Russia. As Europe teeters toward energy crisis as gas hits new high, February 10th, 2025. So all these articles are this year. And we're only 3 months into this year. It says EU removes energy crisis gas price cap. Europe is already facing its next energy crisis, and that was basically the end of last year, November 23rd. All right, 2024. So you see it. But the point being is now, right? India's crude imports from Russia surge. Okay? It says Indian imports of Russian crude oil have rebounded significantly in March with lower prices like it, making it more economical. Again, that's the key word, economical economy. For refiners, the Financial Express reported on Monday. The cheaper prices, again, and this what Europe was receiving. Cheap energy from Russia in abundance. Now they're going through energy crisis because of the U.S. It says the cheaper prices have also led to an increase in availability of non-sanctioned tankers, making it easier for Indian companies to transport oil. As a result, India's Russian oil imports have rebounded in March after a decline in previous months, the report added. According to the data from Kepler, India's Russian oil imports increased significantly in the first 21 days of the month, averaging 1.85 million barrels per day. This represents a substantial rise from the 1.47 million barrels per day imported in February and the 1.64 million barrels per day imported in January, according to Kepler data. Russian oil accounts over 35% of India's total oil imports, so that's heavy, 35%. Okay, that's a lot. It says total oil imports in March, up from approximately 31% in February. The report added, the surge has helped Moscow solidify its position as a major oil supplier to Asian country. So this has solidified its position as an oil, as it says, a major oil supplier. Okay. And once again, Russia's economy, that's a big part, majority, I should say, of Russia's economy, how they're able to basically live, to make money. When you got a business, you making money, everybody's able to eat, you able, to survive financially, able to buy, and, so on and so forth. You know how it is. Business is doing well. So you see here, this is starting to backfire on America and its allies. This is following the introduction of further Western sanctions against Moscow in February. See, India vowed to continue to buy Russian oil as long as it was sold below $60 per barrel. So they say, we'll keep buying Russian as long as it's cheap. So here it is. I know the EU is like, damn, man. They getting cheap energy. Here it is. We're going through an energy crisis in Europe because America put sanctions on Moscow. It says in the transaction did not involve sanctioned companies or individuals, according to the Financial Express. So you see it, man. You see it. It's beautiful. So how does this lead to Bible prophecy? So here it is. India is getting sold cheap energy. Okay. And the Russian economy, that's good business for Russia. But here it is, the EU is facing an energy crisis. All right. And then if they are able to get the fuel, it's at a high price. Okay. It's at a high price. So they're suffering. How does this lead to Bible prophecy? Matter of fact, let's look at Habakkuk 2, verse 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, and we are at the end, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Okay, so it's speaking now. So let's hit that, and we'll get right to the point. Once again, for those that are new to watching these things, breakdowns have been done. All you got to do is type in GMS Revelation 17 breakdown, because I'm basically going to get right to the point. What is this? Like it. I'll do a little illustration, but once again, the thorough breakdown is out there. So this is Revelation 17. I'm going to start verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, the whore is representation of America, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Okay, because America basically controls the global stage. It says, in the 10 horns that thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. So when you go into the book of Daniel's, I believe it's Daniel's, the second chapter, right? Where basically Nebuchadnezzar, the interpretation of his dreams, dream that he saw, right? As you see Daniel's 2 and 6, but if ye show the dream and the interpretation thereof, ye shall receive me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore show me the dream and the interpretation thereof. So Nebuchadnezzar, King of Babylon, he had a dream. Okay, so let's go down. So basically, you read the story of Daniel. His wise men, Nebuchadnezzar, his wise men, his magicians, the Chaldeans, astrologers, they couldn't break down a dream. But an Israelite, Daniel, was able to break down a dream by the inspiration of the true power, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. So let's go down to the point. Daniel's second chapter. No, that's not the one I wanted. Let's see. I think it's the same thing. It might be Daniel 7. That's why the elders always say, yep, go through these breakdowns. So it's basically the same dream told in a different manner. Daniel 7 verse 1 says, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. So these beasts are talking about the four major kingdoms, dominions on the planet Earth, right? It says the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. So just talking about the Syrian Babylonian Empire, right? But once again, it describes them as beasts. The Syrian Babylonian Empire, I beheld till the wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man. A man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, once again, the parabolic talk, second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side. So just talking about the Medo-Persian Empire. And it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. All right. So the three ribs was Babylon, I believe Lydia, and Egypt. Okay. The Medo-Persian Empire basically took over. But once again, it's likening them onto beasts. And again, I'm not going to go too deep into these breakdowns. I'm just scratching the surface so you can get the idea. Daniel 7 verse 6, it says, after this I beheld, and lo, another, you don't say a beast, but as we know, another, like a leopard, which had upon it the back of it four wings of a fowl. So this is talking about the Greek Empire. And a leopard, when have you ever seen a leopard with four wings on his back? It don't exist. So this is parabolic talk, talking about the 4 major dominions on the planet Earth. Okay, and those 4 wings was Alexander the Great. His 4 generals. All right, that ruled after his reign. Okay, Ptolemy, Seleucid, Antiochus, I believe in Antigonus. Okay, these 4 generals. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's it. If not, Baba Shah correct me on the comment board. Once again, we have to keep sharp on these breakdowns. It says the beast had 4 heads, and so a leopard, 4 wings and 4 heads, and the being was given. What that beast doesn't exist. Okay, so it's talking about kingdoms. After this, I saw in the night visions, behold, a 4th beast. It's talking about the Roman Empire, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, because the Roman Empire was known for its iron weaponry. All right. It says devour and break, and then once again, iron, a very hard, almost, once again I say almost, considered indestructible metal, right? Very hard metal. And that's how the Roman Empire army specifically was. It says devoured and break in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, because why? It had a senate. All right, the other kingdoms, basically, they were, what's the word I'm looking for? The word escapes me at the moment. Forget the word. But basically, they had kings, right? And what king will come up, and I believe it's a monarch system, if I'm not mistaken. That may be it. But they had kings. And what the king, his son would come up and reign. But here, in the Roman Empire, it was diverse from the rest, because it had a senate. Plebeians, patricians, senate house. That same basically political structure that you see today, Democrat, Republicans in America, is why America is Rome reincarnated. It says Rome 2.0 basically. It says, and it was diverse from all the beasts that before, and it had 10 horns. Now those are 10 vassal states, right, during that time. So you had the four beasts. And clearly those beasts like that don't exist. So it's talking about a dominion. It's talking about kingdoms that will rule the planet Earth. So going back to Revelation 17 chapter. Let's get to the point. Revelation 17 verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, so this current beast system today, NATO, the EU, okay, the EEC is basically a company of European nations. The 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. So once again, the beast is NATO, EU, starting EU, NATO. These shall hate the whore, who's the whore? America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put it in her hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, America, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Now, you have to be in complete denial to say America doesn't reign over the kings of the earth, doesn't reign over the earth. Okay? Everyone knows America polices the globe. They're like the global police. Everyone listens to them. Basically, everyone is in compliance with them for the most part. But, there's a change taking place. But the beast which thou sawest upon the horse, and it's like in the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, they shall hate the horse. So let's get that illustration. These are the 10 horns. EEC. The 10 horns represent the common market or the European Economic Community, established in 1958. Today, the EEC is known as the EU, the European Union. Now, of course, there's more that has joined today, but this was original. Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Spain, and Portugal, which are the same. England, England and Ireland, which are the same, West Germany. And if you look on that EEC flag, the original, you see 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just like it. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you see those 12 stars on there. Okay, which is really a total of 10, because Spain and Portugal are the same, England and Ireland are the same. So those are the 10 horns upon the beast. So right now, these nations, all right, in Europe are going through an energy crisis. And here it is, Russia and India are basically having a great old time, man. Because this business or this deal, basically Europe had that. And what India said, they said we will continue to buy. India vowed to continue to buy Russian oil as long as it was sold below $60 per barrel. And in Europe was receiving these good deals. Now they're going through energy crisis. Cold in the winter. Can't afford this, can't afford that. And remember, once the price of fuel go up, that brings everything else up by default. Because you need fuel to transport the goods. Now it's costing the people that transport the goods, it's costing them more money to transport the goods because the fuel prices. So what they have to do, now they have to charge more. So it's just a domino effect, a chain reaction. So that's it, man. We watching this thing. We paying attention. You know, the geopolitics. So with that, Lord Williams edifying, giving all praise to Yahweh, Bahashemi, Hawashai. Till next time, you say shalom to the elect.